So if you watch my previous video on the focus motor setup on the DJI Ronin SC, I actually wanted to point out something that I made a big mistake, and one of the YouTubers pointed it out. So I just wanted to clarify, when you take out the thread out of the box, it actually naturally is rolled up in this manner with the, you can see there are two sides to the thread. The inside of the thread, when you take it out of the box, the inside of the thread is the larger side. So you can see that the teeth are actually larger on the inside, and on the outside here is more gradual. So I made a mistake by wrapping it like this onto the lens, with the larger teeth on the inside, wrapping it around the lens like that. And what was supposed to happen is that you're supposed to make sure that the teeth, the larger teeth, are actually on the outside like this. And once you got the teeth on the outside like this, it's much easier to actually wrap it around your lens and fix it like that. It's much easier, and in this manner you won't even have to remove the lens to make it easier. But it's good to remove the lens because it makes the whole mounting process much easier, and it's also a better grip on the focus motor. So yeah, just want to point it out. When you take it out of the box, you need to bend it the other way around and make sure that the larger teeth on the thread are actually facing outward to get a better grip focus motor, and also make it easier for you to mount it around the lens. So just want to point it out before I start the video. So basically, coming back to today's video, pretty exciting because this will be my heaviest setup ever. My previous heaviest setup was the Sony A7 III with the Tamron 28-75mm f2.8, which weighed in at about 1.2 kgs or 1,200 grams. I recently bought this manual lens. This is a new RF lens from Samyang for my Canon EOS RP, and this lens, you can see the size of it is massive. Look how huge that is, and look at the diameter of the lens, is absolutely massive. This is an ultra wide angle lens, if you call it, because I'm using a full frame camera, the EOS RP. So this is the Samyang RF 14mm f2.8 manual focus lens, and it's really nice and huge. The Canon EOS RP's body weight weighs in at about 485 grams, and the weight of this Samyang lens is actually 800 grams. So basically the weight of the lens is almost double that of the body, whereas on the Sony A7 III with the Tamron 28-75mm, the weight difference between the body and the lens was more or less quite minimal. The 28-75 Tamron lens actually weighed in at 550 grams, whereas the A7 III's body weighed in at 650 grams. So the total weight of this body and lens combination on the EOS RP and the Samyang 14mm is 1,285 grams. So that's 85 grams heavier than the A7 III, but in comparison to the A7 III with the Tamron setup, this would definitely be a more difficult setup to balance because of the lens being so much heavier at 800 grams compared to the body's 485 grams. So this will be a really difficult setup to balance, I'm guessing. I haven't tried it out yet, but I've already got it set up. This will be the normal setup because the lens is so big. So I got the camera riser and a quick adjustment plate with 2 screws. I'm guessing this method of balancing will not work, hence I believe I will need to go back to the hack method of balancing this setup on the DJI Ronin SC right here. So right now we're going to attempt it, and we'll see how it goes. So before I do the setup, I just want to point out, for those of you guys who are thinking 1,285 grams is not really very heavy, but I just want to point out that the DJI Ronin SC was specifically built by DJI for mirrorless cameras, because in my previous videos a lot of people actually say, oh no, that's not a heavy setup, why not you try out the Canon 5D Mark IV or the Canon 7D Mark II and stuff. But so basically, if you are having a DSLR, a more appropriate gimbal to use for you would be the DJI Ronin S. So I just wanted to point out that actually for mirrorless cameras are supposed to be much lighter than DSLRs. There aren't many extremely heavy mirrorless cameras in the market. Probably the heaviest one right now would be the Panasonic full frames, the SH1 that just released, and the S1 and the S1R. So those are really heavy, and probably some of the Sonys, the A7 III, the A7 IV also might be pretty heavy, but in general most mirrorless cameras are relatively light. And the Ronin SC, as I mentioned just now, was built specifically for mirrorless cameras instead of DSLR. So DSLR guys, DJI Ronin S would be more appropriate. So let's get straight to the mounting. So I'm going to do the normal setup here as I mentioned, and I'm just going to try it out. I don't think this will work because it's so much more front heavy than any other setup, so we're just going to try it out anyways. So I've already got it maximum at the moment here. There's no way of actually believe, get it balanced because it's tilting too much forward. So immediately, I don't think this setup will work. So for this lens, also just to point out, for this Samyang 14 millimeters, this hood that you see on the lens is actually not removable. If it were removable, that would be so much better. Make it slightly lighter, but it's not removable. The normal way of setup is not going to work. So immediately, I'm not going to continue the rest of the balancing because it will definitely be a waste of time. So just going to remove one of the screws. So basically I've got the non-conventional way or the hack method of mounting your camera on a quick adjustment plate. So what I did a previous video on this, and that method actually worked for really heavy or front heavy cameras. So basically you can check it out. So you can see I removed one of the screws. There's only one screw left, because if you use two screws, can't get this quick adjustment plate far enough up the lens, because like I said, this is a really heavy setup. A really heavy setup is one, and a really front heavy setup is two. So by using one of the screws together with the camera riser, you can see that on the camera riser is still there, but instead of using two screws to screw into the hole, what I did is I removed one of the screws, and I got the screw on the upper hole over here. You can check out the video. I'll leave the link in the description if you want a step-by-step tutorial on so just got one screws. I removed basically the bottom screw so I can actually move the quick adjustment plate higher up the lens. You can see it's giving more support to the lens right now, because I can get the quick adjustment plate higher up the lens. I can actually give more support to the lens itself, but I didn't want to push it all the way to heavy. You can see that I didn't push it all the way to heavy because I still want the quick adjustment plate to be at least supporting the weight of the body itself. So if I push it all the way too heavy, if I push it all the way up, only a small part of the quick adjustment plate will be supporting the body. So I wanted to give as much support as possible while giving the lens as much support as possible as well. So basically this is my way of doing the setup for really heavy cameras. But one thing about using this method, as I tried it out previously, it is not really recommended for a long period of usage, probably 10-15 minutes max before you need to give it a break. If not, the motors will overheat. So try to make your filming, if you're using this method, try to utilize the DJI Ronin SC sparingly in this method. Don't film for too long periods of time in order to preserve the strength of the motors. Put it on, slide it on. All right, so we got it balanced like that with this method, because you can get, like I said, you can get a quick adjustment plate much further up the lens, because the lens is actually pretty large, pretty long. So using this hack method of mounting can actually do the balance. It's just that we're gonna try and balance the rest of the axis right now. Yep, so we already got it balanced like this. So backwards, forwards, and left to right as well. Seems to be more or less balanced like that. So pretty nice, pretty fast as well when you use this specific hack method of mounting. So we got two of the axes done. Right now we're going to do the tilt axis. So we cannot clear this axis. So right now you can see, because we have this camera pushed all the way more to the back, you can see that it doesn't clear this axis over here. But luckily enough, we still can clear the bottom here. The lens isn't touching the pan axis, so we're actually gonna bounce it downwards like this. So and there you have it. So we got that balance as well. So we got this tilt axis done as well, and we got the roll axis done as well. So all that's left is the pan axis. So the pan axis, I've got it balanced at the marking would be at 0.5. That's how heavy it is. So we got this balanced, and we're just gonna plug in the cable last of all. So a successful setup, guys. Pretty happy. The EOS RP with the Samyang ultra wide angle RF lens, the 14 millimeters. It is a manual focus lens, so I will hopefully be able to control the focus. I mean, using the electronic pull focus, because of this setup is so heavy. I tried using the focus motor with this setup, and it's really too heavy and didn't work. So I'm going to try it out right now with the electronic pull focus and see if that works. Power the Ronin on, and turn on your EOS RP, and yeah, it looks pretty good. So one thing to take note, because of the EOS RP actually cannot clear the roll axis here, so we cannot do barrel rolls basically. Yeah, I think that's a small problem. If you want to do a barrel roll, just throw on a lighter lens and that should settle the issue. We don't really need such a huge lens just for the barrel roll portions. I'm just going to test out the pull focus, electronic pull focus. Alright, so double tapping the record button will get it to take a video. I don't think the electronic pull focus or the compatibility, as there is a compatibility list as well for lenses as well as cameras, so I don't think the Samyang 14mm RF lens would be on a compatibility list. But good news is that just balancing works for such a heavy camera, 1.285 kg or 1285 grams. So basically guys, that was it, a successful setup, but the Samyang lens is not compatible, so whenever you pull the electronic pull focus wheel, that causes an error which causes the EOS RP to actually reboot. So thanks guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video, a successful setup on such a heavy and large lens, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.